Hi, I'm Michelle LaBrosse. I'm the Chief Cheetah at Cheetah Learning. And for the past 23 years, I've been helping people pass the PMP exam, Cheetah Fast. They spend 4 days in our program, and on the 5th day, they go and they take the actual PMP exam. We've had 80,000 people go through our program in the past 23 years, and all of them are project management professionals certified. There's a couple of things you got to do in order to have your projects be successful, and they're not rocket science, and I should know I'm an aerospace engineer. The first one is agree to agree. Before you start any project, all get on the same page about what you're doing. What's your project objective? How are you going to communicate with each other? How much money are you going to spend? What are some of your major risks you're going to encounter? What does done mean? I mean, that's just fascinating that people don't agree what done means on a project. And, are you ready? Do you have the capabilities and resources to do this project? Or are you going to have to put some things in place before you can make it happen? So remember, if you want to be successful with your projects, agree to agree before you start the project. This next one is called What Gets Measured Gets Done. And I'm an engineer, and, engineers know measure twice, cut once, right? So when you measure things, you're more likely to improve them. So what are you measuring with your projects? The key performance indicators of how do you know your project's going to be successful? A lot of times people measure tasks, and yeah, you got to get the tasks done sometimes to do projects, but it's far more important to measure the results of your project. Were you able to deliver what your customer wanted on time and in the money they expected to spend? So just decide what you're going to measure and how is it going to measure your results before you start. The next rule, we call it the platinum rule. We've all heard the golden rule is to treat others how you want to be treated. But that doesn't work that well because everybody has different ideas of what being treated right means. So the platinum rule is you treat others how they would prefer to be treated. Now, this also goes to communication. If you want someone to communicate with you, try communicating in the way that they would prefer. Like, I have a lot of younger people who work for us, and they would prefer to be communicated with by text. And so I've become a texter, even though I'm older, but that's the way they want to be treated. They want to communicate by text. So remember, the platinum rule when working with other people is to treat them how they would like to be treated. This next tip is as inevitable as death and taxes, and it is conflict. Now, we see conflict in projects as fantastic because it lets us understand each other's expectations better. The primary source of conflict is differing expectations. There's nothing wrong with this. I mean, there's no way that two people are going to have the same expectations. And so all conflict is telling us is, hey, we have different expectations. Let's take a minute to understand what each of our expectations are and how we can better address these and come up with new and creative ways to meet each of our expectations. Our last tip, we call it recognize the rainbows. And this is all about seeing diversity as the positive that it is. When you have everybody from the same background, went to the same school, hangs out at the same clubs, you're not going to have much diversity in thinking. I mean, we see this in massive disasters that happen all the time. Like we just had this huge banking collapse, and I'm making this, and everybody was from the same college, and they lived in the same area, and they talked to other people who were just like them into relaxing rules, and their bank collapsed. So when you have a diversity of opinions and people from different backgrounds and different orientations and different perspectives, you're going to have a lot more creative solutions to how to solve your problems. I joke, and this isn't really a joke because it's a little bit of a frustration thing for me, is that there's 1,000 ways not to do something. And the quicker you can get to those 1,000 ways not to do it, the more likely you're going to get to the one way that will actually work. And the way to do that is by looking at a diversity of ideas and opinions, and you do that with a diversity of people. So celebrate the rainbows, recognize the rainbows. The rainbows are where the pot of gold is.